Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Skye Fox. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to my channel. Today I just kind of wanted to press the record button and see what happened. I am kind of stuck thinking in my head today about certain things about the tarot and archetypes in general, and kind of wanted to just talk it out loud and kind of process a little bit. So if you're down for that kind of content and you want to sit here and hang out with me while I ruminate on this, then thank you for being here. I kind of feel like I should have written down at least like a rough outline of all of this, but I said to hell with that. Let's just turn on the camera and see what happens. But yeah, I guess the general idea of what I want to talk about today is within the tarot and the archetypal journey of like the Fool's journey through the major arcana through the tarot, and the stories of the minor arcana and how they are expressed through the different elemental suits. They are portraying a specific kind of story and a specific kind of way of how we interact with different experiences in life, and how we sorry, and how we live and experience our life, and the way that that's reflected through the tarot. I'm sorry if that doesn't make any sense. Let me kind of backtrack a little bit and kind of set you up for kind of where I'm at and why I'm even thinking about this in the first place. So I've been studying tarot for about a year and a half as like a dedicated study and practice and working with the cards and things like that. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. I probably don't need any more caffeine, but here we are. So I've been studying the tarot for like a year and a half, which is a drop in the bucket. And I'm very grateful for the tarot and how it's come into my life and how it's helped me process and navigate, and kind of provide me a map of the terrain of my life, and kind of illuminating certain energies and things that are happening inside of me, things that are happening outside of me, the relationship between the internal and the external. And and I understand that tarot, this is going to be all over the place. I just got to say that right now. Okay, I got to stop pulling myself off track. Focus. So I guess the question that I have that I'm posing in this video that I would love to hear other people's responses and opinions on, all are open and all are welcome, is, do the stories that are expressed in the tarot limit us in the way that we see and understand the world, and the journey that we are all in together as people here on Earth? Now, I'm gonna try to provide some context. So I have a mentor, had a mentor, have a mentor. I'm very grateful for her in my life, and we spent a lot of time together and a lot of work together, specifically through plant medicine ceremonies. So the lineage and the lens through which she is coming through, she studied with one of the lineages of the Shipibo people in Peru, in the Amazon. She went through an apprenticeship to learn and understand how to cultivate uh, and facilitate plant medicine ceremonies, which is how I met her and how we came into contact with each other. And prior to that, I mean, she has had a shamanic practice for like over 20 plus years. She studied through the four winds with Alberto Vialdo, through the four winds, um, and has had other, mentors and things in her own life, and has kind of cultivated this practice. And I'm very, very grateful for the work that I was able to do with her, the information and the blessings that working with her has brought into my life. Like, I don't want to discount or discredit any of that. And she brought up just something when I started studying with the tarot. We were still living together at the time, and it's just kind of stuck with me. We no longer live together, and it's been about a year or so since we have lived under the same roof. And I gave her a reading. She was one of the first people that I had started giving readings to when I was working with cards other than myself. And one of the cards that was pulled was the Five of Wands. And I said something to the effect of associating the card with competition, which is a general basic interpretation of what the Five of Wands is, right? It's like different flavors of fire coming together, different personalities, different points of view all coming together and clashing, right? Because fives are really disruptive numerologically. And I said that to her, and her response was, I don't believe in competition. I don't believe in competition. And it kind of like was like, phew. And I was like, okay, well, how can I reinterpret this with language that she would be able to receive? Now, I feel like that statement in and of itself is already kind of like, I feel like people have big opinions on. And the perspective that she's coming from, I feel like overall is like a non-dualistic perspective of reality, right? Like on the macrocosm level, where we are no longer in the illusion of this reality, we are all a part of the same source energy, whether you want to call that God, the universe, the all that is, whatever. Then there is no separation, there is no duality, there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no good, there is no bad, there is no life, there is no death, that kind of a thing. And I see that, and that's even the story of, how that all comes through with the esoteric associations of tarot, through esoteric tarot. I'm speaking specifically to the Golden Dawn and the Hermetic Kabbalah, where we're looking at the tarot mapped on the Tree of Life, and we have Keter at the top, which is spirit, and then the journey of how spirit goes through its division process to reach the Sephira, the Sephiro of Malkuth, or the physical reality, right? Where we do experience separation, we do experience duality. We have the day, we have the night, we have hot, cold, pain, pleasure, life, death. ease and cooperation and conflict and disruption and competition. And so I guess the point in which she was making was, do archetypes um, keep us in a specific kind of paradigm? Do they do they keep us in a place of fear? Do they keep us in a place of lack? Like if you pull a card of like, I mean, any of the fives, right? Like the Five of Pentacles, for example. You're on the outside looking in, feeling shut out, feeling like you are beaten down, like you have no resources around you to help you. It's a lot of scarcity mindset and things like that. You know, if you pull that card in a reading, does that reinforce the idea of lack? Does it reinforce the that story, that paradigm, and the reality that we're creating for ourselves? If we are creators here on this earth, if our thoughts create our reality, then is that just perpetuating a specific kind of story that is not for our greatest benefit? And another thing that this makes me think about is there's I believe it's a South American prophecy, maybe from the Kyoto tradition. I think it is the Kyoto tradition, which are a group of peoples that live in the Andes Mountains in Peru. And there's different types of this prophecy from different cultures all over the world. Um, but like the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. And I don't know enough about it to be able to probably do it justice and explain it in a way here. I feel like I'm not doing any sort of great feats of explaining or things in this video. I'm trying. But the prophecy of the eagle and the condor is basically this next phase of evolution that mankind is approaching, and that we will not find harmony within ourselves, within our society, within our culture as a unified people here on earth until the raven and the condor fly as one. And basically it's this prediction of evolution of mankind where we are evolving into, I guess, what could be called like a homo luminous being. So like we're evolving from Homo sapiens, from where we are right now, into a Homo luminous being, which basically means a human being that has transcended beyond fear. And I feel that. I feel like there is a resonance in there, or something in there that resonates with me, something in there that resonates as a bit of truth or inner knowing. And yeah, I guess the way that I've looked at it, and then when it comes to the tarot and like the story of the patterns that we experience, like through the minor arcana, for example, where, we have the aces as the potential. The two is, about balance and duality and movement, moving with the energy of the potential from the ace. Threes are an expansion of that. Fours are the first points of stability, and so on and so forth. Five being the disruption. And so it's like, okay, if we really are evolving into light beings. Sounds so fucking woo. But if we really are evolving into light beings that are transcending beyond fear, what does that paradigm look like? Are we still able to utilize cards in the numerical journey of ace through 10? And how do we understand that, and what's our relationship to it? Like, would we still be able to look at a Five of Pentacles moment from this idea of a disruption of the energy of Earth, a disruption of stability, is a disruption of structure, and not be able to, or be able to look at it from a place of love, from a place without fear of like not being in a scarcity mindset? Like how then do we, because how then do we evolve with the tarot? Because I mean, the tarot is like, it's images on cardboard, right? You know, and no one really knows how the tarot came to be. uh we know, like, on record, on paper, when the first accounts of tarot were like starting to emerge, and then people speculate and make crazy claims. It comes from Egyptian mysticism, it comes from, alien beings or whatever. Or, the idea that it, like the major arcana, for example, and why that was added to the minor suit of like the regular playing cards, these images and these ideas of what was going on at the time, like, were the major arcana cards, instead of being given to us from this secret society that had this agenda to distill this esoteric information in a way that flew under the radar of the governments and the church and power or whatever at the time, were these images created on the fringes of the outskirts of, society, of people that didn't fit the norm and um didn't adhere to the status quo, or whatever. It's all just very interesting for me to think about. And I guess that's why I'm here, not making any sense, or why I don't feel like I'm making any sense, kind of talking about all of this. So, and so I guess, sorry, let me continue with that. So these images on cardboard, they don't have assigned meanings. Like, we as people are the meaning makers of what the symbols on the cards entail, and how they show up in our lives. Like, if you were to pull the Empress, 100 years ago, we were in a much different world 100 years ago. Like, those interpretations and associations of the Empress and what that archetype means is going to be very different from what we understand of the Empress today. And so I personally don't see archetypes as a rigid concept. I see archetypes as a living and breathing sort of essence and energy that we tap into, that grows with us and evolves with us. And so I guess that's what I'm thinking about with like the tarot in general. If we are evolving from this place that is beyond fear, how are the stories of that are depicted in the tarot, how are those going to evolve with us? How are we going to use them in a new way of being, where we are empowered, where we have no fear, where we have, where we understand that the universe always provides, that we are always taken care of? And that feels entitled as hell to say, because in the current reality, that we experience, there are homeless population, there's war, there is, um, people who are starving, and there's people that are really going through very, very hard, challenging times that are suffering. And so to say, that we're evolving as people to this place that beyond suffering, beyond fear, it feels very entitled when, myself is like a privileged white person with a job and a roof over my head and whatever, like, talks about this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna post this. Oh God, I guess if you're watching this, we know what I decided to do. But yeah, I want to hear your um, opinions on this. Do the stories of these journeys through the different suits of the arcana, do they limit us? Do they keep us locked in a certain paradigm, in a time, in a certain way of receiving and understanding the world, or do they help us break out of that? Do they help us see the illusion for what it is? It's that of an illusion, right? And gives us back our power to then make different choices. So, because, I mean, we've all been through a Three of Swords moment, right? We've all had anxiety of the Nine of Swords. We've all been betrayed on one level or another. And it's really helpful to have a deck of cards to be able to work out, deeper meanings and gain deeper insights into like how that's impacted our life and what we can learn from that and how we can move forward from that and how we can not let those stories and those experiences define us. I don't know. I think I need to stop talking. But yeah, these are just some of the things that are going through my head right now. So I would be very curious as to if you listened to this video, what it kind of made you think of. Um, if you have any insights to share, and I'm open, and I want to hear what other people share or what other people think about this. And yeah, like this video, comment, subscribe. I don't know. I'll see you in the next video. All right. Okay. Bye.